A rather fussy couple leave Basingstoke behind and head for Wales, escape to the country with them at 4:50. But now, as the whistle blows on BBC One, Gabby Logan has the final score.
United 0, trying to avoid relegation.
He was one of the heroes of the afternoon.
Applause from the away supporters. Go! The latest score is Wimbledon. Go through to the Premier.
John Terry's tears, we all remember. And it was 2 crucial weeks.
Welcome to a special Sunday final score. It's all about the Premier League this afternoon as we inch closer to the finish line. The penultimate round of matches in full flow. And Garth, Crooks and Mark Bright are my most able wingmen this afternoon enjoying this. Let's bring you right up to speed with what's been happening in the Premier League this afternoon. Well, it all started at 1:30 at St James's Park, and it's Mancini's men who've taken first blood today in the race for the title. They were nervy at first, but Yaya Toure delivered the second half breakthrough and eventually the second as well. Goals that could give City their first title since 1968. Of course, their rivals Manchester United kicking off at 4 o'clock today against Swansea. Aston Villa won, Tottenham won. Spurs desperate for a Champions League spot. Adebayor has hit back from the spot after Kieran Clark's first half opener for Aston Villa. That point, if it stays that way, could be just enough for Villa to survive. But Tottenham will be looking for the win to capitalise on Arsenal's draw yesterday. It's Bolton Wanderers 2, West Brom 0. Petrov's early penalty giving Wanderers hope that they might beat the drop. Liam Ridgewell own goal adding to Roy Hodgson on a glorious week for him career-wise. Not particularly great as West Brom manager though if he goes down there at the Reebok. Fulham 2, Sunderland 1. Dembele's deflected goal has given Martignol's side the edge after Phil Bardsley cancelled out Clint Dempsey's opener. QPR Stoke is goalless. Rangers desperately needing victory if they're going to stay up, but they've not had any joy so far against the Potters, and it's goalless as well at Molineux between Wolves and Everton, and the Toffees have just had a goal disallowed there. OK, let's get the full-time report from that all-important match at St James's Park. Jonathan Pearce.
Manchester.
So this is what that result does to the top of the table. Manchester City head into the final game of the season. If Manchester United get a victory today, they will be level on points, but you would think with a huge advantage with that goal difference. Manchester United, of course, yet to play. So 3 points clear, putting all the pressure on United. Arsenal's draw at the moment keeps them in third place because Tottenham also drawing. Newcastle losing ground, though, on their Champions League rivals. What a big result that is for Manchester City, Garth.
It's massive. I said 3 weeks ago that if City win all their games, they win the title. Now, if you'd have looked at all the social network sites, you'd have thought I was certifiable. They all thought I was mad, and I stand by what I say. If they win all their games, it's theirs. But Manchester United have to respond. Provided they win today, it's still alive. It's still alive. Nothing's certain. It makes it for a magnificent last day of the season.
I think QPR at home, Garth, on the last day of the season for Man City it's a hand-picked game for them.
Even if they need a draw?
That was the big one today. I saw Newcastle against Chelsea midweek and they were fantastic. And I thought, this is where they know it could just spin around.
So you don't think in a two-man fight that QPR have a puncher's chance?
No, not at all.
OK.
Not at the Etihad.
They're fighting for their survival.
I understand that, but they have to beat Stoke here today, and they're not. They're not. They need to beat Stoke, give themselves a fighting chance, because obviously Bolton are still winning, although West Brom have just pulled a goal back.
OK, look, there's been a goal at the Reebok. Let's find out which way it's gone. Damien Johnson.
Yes, it's gone to the visitors, West Bromwich Albion. It's now 2-1 here. It's been a gripping game. Bolton on the verge of a crucial 3 points with a 2-0 cushion. Martin Petrov's first-half penalty. And then an own goal just a few minutes ago from Billy Jones. As I say, it's been wide open. Albion could have taken the lead early. Shane Long hit the post. But a combination of Keith Andrews and Yusuf Malumbu brought down Mark Davies, and Petrov scored from the spot. Liam Ridgewell's attempted clearance in this second half hit his own player, Billy Jones, and flew into the net. But just a few moments ago, Chris Brunt, the Albion skipper, pulled one back for the visitors. It's still all to play for. Bolton hanging on, 2-1.
Chris Brunt's first goal since October. And let's go straight to Villa Park. Ivan Gaskell there. It could be an all-important point for Villa, but Spurs presumably desperate to get something out of this, keeping the pressure on Arsenal for that third spot.
Oh, this game is hanging so in the balance. Villa started pretty well. They probably wanted to get to half-time without conceding a goal. They went one better than that. They took the lead through Kieran Clark's deflected shot from something like 20 yards, so 1-0 at half-time. So far, so good for them. Spurs getting increasingly desperate. Then a turning point just after the 50-minute mark. Danny Rose, well, Red Rose, because he lunged in a little on Alan Hutton. 2 feet off the ground. Hutton was badly injured and hobbled off, and Rose was ordered to the dressing room. So Spurs down to 10 men at that stage. 2 substitutions followed, and Heskey went off injured. Collins has come on, reprieve perhaps after the midweek incidents. But in the last few minutes, after Adebayor squared it from the penalty spot after Sandro went down under challenge from Richard Dunn, looked a penalty, he scored it. The last few minutes have been racked with tension. I suspect the last 15 will be even more so. Villa hanging on by a thread, but a point, as it stands, will do them nicely.
Thank you, Ivan, for the moment. Let's go to Loftus Road. QPR failing to break the deadlock at the moment. Steve May.
Yeah, we've got 10 minutes left here, Gabby. It's still 0-0. Rangers starting off, in fact, very nervously, perhaps still shaken by that Chelsea result last week. In fact, Cameron Jerome really should have put Stoke ahead in the second minute after being put through by a Peter Crouch header, but he chipped it over the bar. Stoke will also claim that they should have had a penalty in the first half when Ricky Fuller went down just as he was about to pull the trigger. Rangers, alternatively, have created very little. The returning Adel Tarap's direct free kick had Sorensen scrambling at full stretch to his right to turn it away. We saw Joey Barton send in a header from Zamora's cross, which went straight at Sorensen. And just a few minutes ago, Gibril Cisse, who came on 2 minutes into the second half as a substitute, had a header that was brilliantly tipped away by Sorensen. But at the moment, as things stand, Queen's Park Rangers have dropped back into the relegation zone. It's 0-0 here.
Let's go to Craven Cottage. Some might say, Mark Webber, this game has little impact on the top or the bottom, but Fulham will be heading towards a magnificent finish for Martin Jol. As things stand, they're in 8th above Liverpool.
Indeed, no beach football on the banks of the Thames. Both sides, to be fair, having a go, but it's Fulham with the edge in terms of goals, possession and discipline. A set-piece opening Fulham's account. Clint Dempsey's shot so powerful, not even the iron hands of Mignolet could stop its power. Sunderland got their equaliser. Cheeky chip through by G, allowing Phil Bardsley to blast a low 25-yard drive into the lower portion of the goal. But a double-dip recession from then on from Sunderland. A minute later, back in deficit, thanks Dembele's blaster, which seemed to reflect off Michael Turner into his own net, but Dembele's claiming it. Since then, Fulham peppering the goal many times, but to be fair, Sunderland substitute Fraser Campbell just missed a sitter, shooting wide in front of the goal, inches from goal. Could have made it 2-2. At the moment, it's 2-1.
Relegated Wolves playing their last home game in the Premier League against Everton, who presumably are looking for points to guarantee a finish above their arch-rivals Liverpool, Andrew James, but can't find the goal.
No, that's right, Gabby. They've been a little unfortunate, at least on one occasion. A first-half goal in inverted commas from Jelavic was ruled out. He seemed to be looking at the monitor pictures at least a yard onside, but it was ruled out for offside. And then in the second half, Strakwalaisi bundling the ball over the line, on the goal line, but the linesman down here had already flagged for offside against Fellaini, who'd taken a little touch in that 6-yard box. That really is the only 2 main efforts of the game. It's been like a quiet testimonial otherwise, Gabby. Plenty of pre-match presentations by Wolves, of course, but Everton, as you say, desperate to finish above Liverpool. Can't find the net at the moment. Wolves 0, Everton 0.
Andrew, thank you. Let's have a look at the bottom of the table. Then we'll QPR failing to make any headway at the moment against Stoke, still inside the bottom 3. Blackburn Rovers play Wigan tomorrow. Bolton Wanderers, the big winners, if you like, in that scrap for points at the moment.
They can't afford to draw here. They've got the noses in front at the moment, but if they let it slip against West Brom, they go back in the relegation area, and it's winner-take-all at the last game of the season. Bolton have got to go to Stoke, who QPR are playing at the moment. So it's really tense for Bolton. They've got to get over the line today.
Of course, there's plenty of time left for QPR to get a goal. Can you see it coming?
Yeah. Well, Cisse's come on, and they just know they have to win today. But Stoke have been dogged and determined, and, you know, there hasn't been a lot in the game, to be honest. Been quite a lot of fouls. But, yeah, you know, you go into these last few games, I think they're rocked by that, getting beat by Chelsea last week, 6. Managed to keep a clean sheet against Stoke. But you have to win. You have to win this home game. And I think they've won 4 in a row at home, QPR.
So I think at home,
they're hoping they'd really get this win to take it to next week.
OK, let's hear from Roberto Mancini. He had a huge smile on his face in the final whistle. I'm sure it's still there. He's talking to Jonathan Pearce.
Roberto, you have made many substitutions in your time, but how pleased are you with that one? It meant that Yaya Toure could get forward more, and he gets you your 2 goals to break the game.
Yeah, that was an option also before the game, because we thought for 2 or 3 days if it's better to play with like we started, or with Yaya behind one striker, another striker left. We thought this, but I was sure that to put Yaya in that position was good today.
It was such an intense game, such an important game. It was always going to take a special goal to break it, and it was a special goal, wasn't it, his first?
Yeah, it was special, like the goal that he scored last year in FA final. I think that maybe will be more important if we finish our job well.
Newcastle made it as tough as you thought they would, because they've had a very good season.
Yeah, but they are a good team. I think they played a fantastic season. For this reason, today was difficult. It was difficult in the first half, but I think that we deserved to win. We scored 2 goals. We had other 3 or 4 incredible chances.
And what about your centre-halves? All the stories will be about Yaya's goals and on your forwards, but the 2 centre-halves this season have been magnificent for you.
I think that if we didn't concede any goal in the last 3 or 4 games, I think that because the centre-half played really well, but also because all the team played really well. When we need to defend, we defend with all players, help each other. I think that this is important.
How important is it now, though, to tell the players and the fans as well, it's not won yet?
No, it's not finished. It's important that we are 3 points up in this moment, but it's not enough. We need a last effort, 1 game more.
How do you do that, though? It's been such a long wait for...
Jonathan Pearce asking the questions of Roberto Mancini, who smiled, had displayed. He looked
try not to
remarkably
laugh,
composed, didn't he, though, considering inside he must be, you know, almost over the line, aren't they?
I think Jonathan made a really good point there. It was 0-0, and there was not a lot in the game, you know, and they took Tevez off. And don't forget, they've won all the things, 6, 7, 8 games or something since he came back. They've won all the games. And what he did is brought De Jong on, and we went, De Jong? Holding midfield player, but then obviously it allows Toure to go forward, and that's exactly what he did.
You're a huge fan of Toure, aren't you?
I'm a huge fan of Yaya Toure. He did it on Monday night against United in almost work. You right? Remember in the final, he flashes one past the far post.
Yeah.
We all thought it was in. Yaya Toure has been immense. I was at the Manchester City Awards dinner on Thursday night, and everybody seemed to get an award apart from Yaya Toure, which I was a bit surprised about, because I think for me he's been their Player of the Year. He's been that big. Former Barcelona. So these games are like having a bath to him. They don't faze him at all. He took 2 fantastic finishes there to put Man City in a great position to win the title. For the first time in 44 years, you need a lot of bottle.
Did Balotelli win the Pyrotechnic Award? There are many more he could have... Sunday afternoon, I won't go there. OK, all eyes then now on Old Trafford in the title race, because at 4 o'clock they kick off Manchester United against Swansea. And, of course, there's going to be a big reaction, you'd think, from Alex Ferguson and his men with the news of that result. They were praying for Newcastle United to get something from that game, I imagine, Brighty, but, you know, it's now down to them again, isn't it?
Having seen, Newcastle beat Chelsea, they knew that going into that game that Newcastle could cause an upset or possibly get a draw, which would benefit them. But they have to do what they have to do now.
Well, let's find out who Sir Alex Ferguson is going to start with. Guy Mowbray has the team news.
Well, we've been hearing the oohs and ahs, the moans and groans from those watching or listening to the action from Newcastle in and around Old Trafford. And it did become a little subdued and out of the ordinary for a while. But that will change come kick-off time. And for Manchester United's players, the task hasn't really changed. They have to win this game and by as great a margin as possible. The United team shows 3 changes. Giggs, Park and Nani out. Valencia, Young and Hernandez come in. I've heard it described as the side that should have started in the derby last Monday. 3 changes too for a Swansea team looking to make another dent in United's title hopes. Ranchel, Taylor and Gower start. Out go Orlandi injured, Monk and Britton to the bench. But Leon Britton is at least fit for that, having been a doubt with a knee injury.
Thank you very much, Guy. We're going to talk about that in a moment because all-important goal news from Loftus Road. Steve May.
Yes, it's gone to Queen's Park Rangers, and it's gone to that man, Djibril Cissé, who came on as a second-half substitute. It was a corner from the right-hand side by Taarabt. Stoke didn't quite get it away, and Cissé really unmarked to the far post, just turned it in from close range. And that's a massive goal, I can tell you, for Queen's Park Rangers, because it takes them out the bottom three as things stand at the moment. It's Queen's Park Rangers 1, Stoke 0, and we've only got a minute left of this match.
5 goals in 7 now for Cissé. How important will that be? Well, look at the bottom of the table, Garth, because you've now got Wigan, Bolton and QPR all on 37 points, with, of course, Wigan playing tomorrow against Blackburn Rovers.
QPR have a superior goal difference. So now QPR, it's back in their hands. Mark's right. You've got to go to get Man City. You might need that result to save you. But it's swung around now. Fantastic. Cissé, backstick, far post. It's a flick on from Ferdinand from a Taarabt corner. And that flick on, anybody that plays centre-forward play knows the back stick is always the most dangerous, and I can't believe Stoke didn't defend against it.
Well, a set piece. Tony Pulis will be absolutely fuming. Not only have they lost the first header, but nobody's marking at the far post. The bench emptied from QPR. They all piled onto the pitch. They know how important it is. They're showing shots of Tony Fernandes now in the stand, and they've really got to hang on to this now, like they said, to give themselves a chance next week.
They need to win this to really stand a chance.
Let's find out how that goal has gone down at Villa Park. Ivan Gaskell.
Well, like a lead balloon, I would say. You could tell there's an audible sort of quiet has just descended over Villa. That scoreline is beginning to filter all around Villa Park. And, you know, I've said this for weeks now. Villa, if they really have to get a result on the last day, away to Norwich next weekend, I really wouldn't back them. They're bereft of confidence. They're hanging on against 10-men Spurs here. I can't see Villa scoring. They're struggling with injuries. As I speak, Spurs are attacking, and Dunn gets in with a desperate header. You know, just about 5 minutes left of normal time. I think there'll be several minutes of added time. Villa are hanging on, and I'm telling you, it is far from over as far as Villa are concerned.
Thank you. It's been a desperate season, hasn't it, for Alex McLeish?
Absolutely. They're going to have to go to Norwich and get something out of that. And by the way, Norwich are in great form. We saw them yesterday at Arsenal, and I wouldn't back against Norwich winning that game.
I'll tell you, that ended a run of 3 straight defeats for Norwich. So I fancy my chances going to Norwich as opposed to the Etihad Stadium.
That is true. You're right.
Well, if it went down like a lead balloon at Villa Park, what did it go down like at Reebok Stadium, Damien Johnson? Because Bolton now in the bottom 3.
Yeah, news of that Cissé goal has filtered through here. There's a minute of normal time here, and Bolton are hanging on to their 2-1 lead, sitting deeper and deeper. The play is all with West Bromwich Albion as they seek an unlikely equaliser. Chris Brunt, the goal scorer, just had an effort blocked by Tim Ream. All the pressure at the Bolton Wanderers' end. Can they hang on?
Can they? What are you seeing? Can they hang on?
West Brom in the attack.
What a goal!
No! Let's go back and join Damien Johnson to give us the details on that one.
The equaliser was coming, and it's come. The goal scorer is James Morrison, should I say, on as a second-half substitute. Bolton only have themselves to blame, really. They sat back, trying to soak up pressure. They've looked the defence porous all afternoon. The ball pinging around the area eventually broke to Morrison, unmarked in the 6-yard box, and he finds the roof of the net. It's 2-2.
Let's have a look at the bottom of the table, which has changed yet again. And, well, now it's Villa, actually, who look a little bit healthier, don't they? Because now 3 points with the bottom 3 and 2 points there from Wigan. QPR now also 2 points off the bottom 3.
This means that, as it stands, Bolton will have to go to Stoke and win. No ifs, no draws, got to win. As it stands.
Can you believe there are so many teams still in it at the bottom?
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Yes, because it's been swinging hither and yon all season. The only 2 teams that are really out of it are Wolves and...
hither and yon?
Yes, it's an bit old-fashioned.
Very old, yeah. To and fro.
Yeah, to and fro, thank you.
It keeps everyone involved at the top and at the bottom as well for the Champions.
And we haven't even mentioned the fact, of course, Newcastle's result, what that does for their Champions League and European aspirations. Yes. That's all still up in the air, isn't it? Full-time whistle has blown, though, down by the Thames. Mark Webber.
Yes, and it finished Fulham 2, Sunderland 1. Always a good idea to play well when the boss comes back from sick leave. The home side's performance, just a tonic for Martin Jol, and he would have been very happy with it indeed. They peppered the goal for most of the game, and even when Sunderland pulled one back with a fine Phil Bardsley belter, Fulham was straight up the other end, Dembele recapturing the lead within a minute. Martin O'Neill's men, well, they'll rue 2 chances that fell to them at the end, specifically for sub Fraser Campbell, and it's a long walk back for him to the dugout now as they wonder about the season that could be. Meanwhile, Fulham have enlightened their fans at home on a high. Fulham 2, Sunderland 1.
So it's been a successful season for Martin Jol, you'd say, and Sunderland fans, well, I suppose it was a season where they were looking at relegation, weren't they? And then
Gabby, I'm looking at Martin O'Neill there. I think that's 8 games without a win. Since, you know, he came in and had a fantastic start, lifted them into the top half of the table to 8th, and now they've just gone 8 games without a win.
What do you think the significance of that defeat is now?
Well, they don't score enough goals.
It's Manchester United next week. You can't tell me that Martin O'Neill doesn't want a reaction from his players next week, and United are going to Sunderland, and they may have to win that game to stand any chance of lifting the title. That's the significance of that game.
Of course, Sunderland had that fantastic win over Manchester City, didn't they, around Christmas time. Let's move on there because it's full-time at Molineux. Andrew James.
Yes, and frustration for Everton boss David Moyes, really, Gabby, because it's Wolves 0, Everton 0, and I'm reliably informed that it's a season and a half since Everton were last involved in a Premier League 0-0 scoreline. They had the better of the chances. They'll feel they should have been given a goal. Nikola Jelavic in the first half putting in the back of the net, but given offside when pictures showed he was perhaps at least a yard onside. Strakolasi equally got the ball in the goal in the second half. That was rightly ruled out when Fellaini touched on in an offside position. Frustration for the Wolves fans, some light-hearted banter from them, but also some animosity towards the owner Steve Morgan and the chief executive Jez Moxey. They're relegated. Everton may well still finish above Liverpool, but they'll probably have to do it on the last day of the season. Wolves 0, Everton 0.
Everton play Newcastle on the last day of the season, but the final whistle has gone at Loftus Road. And Steve May, what a big win this could be for QPR.
It's absolutely massive, Gabby, and there are lots of Queen's Park Rangers supporters out there at the moment on the pitch who think they've actually retained their Premiership status. Of course, it still goes to another week, but it was Gibril Cissé's close-range goal at the far post 2 minutes from time that has given those supporters some hope for the time being anyway. As I say, they go to Manchester City next week, but it is now 5 successive home wins for Rangers. Stoke indeed should have gone ahead as early as the 2nd minute through Jerome, but he missed a fairly clear opportunity. Then Gibril Cissé came on early in the second half, and the man that has caused so many heartaches here at Rangers since his arrival back in January might well have kept Queen's Park Rangers in the Premiership. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Stoke City 0.
Cissé can be a liability, but it can also be a very positive influence, and that scoreline, and it
huge as Garth said. I mean, Mark Hughes going back to his old club at Manchester, getting unduly sacked, as I thought at the time, you know, and you just wonder whether this could have a bearing on the...
Also, is it a good result for Manchester City? Because if they go there thinking, well, you know, we're not quite as desperate for the win as we were, we might, you know, we want to take something away from it, does it
it's all relative to Manchester United's game today, doesn't it? Which is about to kick off.
And I don't think it quite works like that, because you never know on the day how players react to pressure. Now, people might say...
Premature, that sign, we're staying up?
Well, I'm not sure about that, actually, because...
Unless it's a Stoke fan.
If you know, what happened today at Newcastle, that game now, the last game of the season for Manchester City, has become even more intense than the game they just played in, because so much is at stake, and no one knows how players react in that situation.
Well, just look at Tony Fernandes there, the money he's invested, and what fans want and what players want as well. It's just hope, just an opportunity to be
in the race.
To be absolutely in the ball game. The result in your own hands. If you win, you can stay up.
5 wins at home on the bounce. They've never done that in the Premier League before.
No. Fantastic.
No.
But you know, they've had a tough run in, haven't they? When we all looked at their fixtures on the run and we all said, oh,
look at that. Down. Tony Fernandes and his chief executive. It's a lovely shot. That's how much it means to them and the club and the fans.
So congratulations to Mark Hughes and his men, 3 points in there, and the way they've invaded the pitch, and obviously it is the last game of the season. Those fans certainly feel that they're almost over the line. Let's get the full-time report from Tannadice now. Roddy Forsyth was watching.
It was a game which mattered to both sides. Celtic sought the victory that would take them to 93 points, same as Rangers' title-winning total under Walter Smith last season. And United were after a win that would take them into the third qualifying round of the Europa League. Not that you'd have known there were issues at stake for the first 20 minutes when United's five-man midfield stifled Celtic's creativity, but at the cost of their own attacking threat. Then they got their first corner kick of the half, and when Paul Dixon swung the ball onto the 6-yard line, Scott Robertson rose unchallenged to head beyond Fraser Forster. As is so often the case with Celtic, there was a penalty kick dispute, in this case when Emilio Izaguirre's cross came off the arm of Keith Watson. No award, said Ian Brines, and that will cause argument, especially since Celtic came no closer and had to accept defeat even after 4 minutes of injury time, which saw United into the Europa League at the same stage as Liverpool will join in next season.
And the latest for you in the SPL from Tynecastle. A victory for Hearts would send them above St Johnstone into fifth, and at the moment it's heading that way. Rudy Scatchell with the goal, the only goal of the game at half-time there. Let's get full-time report from the Reebok. Damien Johnson.
Points ultimately thrown away by Bolton Wanderers here, who led 2-0 courtesy of a Martin Petrov penalty and an own goal from Billy Jones. How big a price are they likely to pay for that, I wonder? A late goal from substitute James Morrison gave Albion a share of the spoils. Petrov had given Bolton the lead after Mark Davies was fouled by a combination of Keith Andrews and Yusuf Malumbu. Liam Ridgewell's attempted clearance hit Billy Jones to extend their lead in the second half. But then fatally, Bolton sat back. Their defence had looked porous all afternoon. Brunt drilled home to give the visitors hope. And then up popped Morrison, unmarked in the 6-yard box, to break Wanderers' hearts. They go to Stoke now and they have to win.
Oh, how agonising for their fans to be in control of that game, to be looking like you're taking 3 points.
It is. When you're 2-0 up and you lose, you draw 2-2 at home. In the situation that Bolton are, which is desperate, it's very, very tough. But they've got to get over it fast because all is not lost. QPR might be celebrating now, but they might not be celebrating this time next week, because if Bolton win at Stoke and QPR don't win at the Etihad, Bolton stay up and QPR go. So all is not lost. Foyler's got to get his troops back in line very quickly because there's a big game on.
There's a big game on. There's a big game still being played at Villa Park. It's still one apiece between them and Spurs. And Ivan Gaskell there for us. That would be a 3-point gap between Aston Villa and Bolton Wanderers. And with the goal difference, you would think enough to survive the Premier League this season.
Oh, trust me, if Villa hang on to this situation now and get a point, I think they'll feel themselves entirely safe. It's been so nerve-shredding. 6 minutes of added time, and as you come to me, that's it. And I would strongly urge you to look at the table, do the maths, and I think tonight Villa will feel themselves safe from relegation. Mathematically not, but listen, it would need a rugby score, wouldn't it? This has been another tense day at the office, though, for Villa. They took the lead. They did what they needed to do. They quietened Spurs down, and 35 minutes in, Kieran Clark's goal settled nerves here. They held out till half-time. Then a big tipping point in the game. Danny Rose lunged in on Alan Hutton. It was 2 feet off the ground, red for Rose, and it sort of changed the emphasis of the match. Somehow Spurs, with their neat slick football, found new momentum. They levelled it on the hour. Adebayor slotting home a cool penalty after Dunn had slid in, really didn't keep his feet when he should have done on Sandro. And from then it was so tense for both sides, both with so much at stake. Interesting that Villa's keeper, Shay Gibbon, who has just been named as man of the match. That should tell you everything. But Villa have hung on, and I think there's a sense here that Villa have made themselves safe by a whisker.
Thank you very much, Ivan. I think the huge blowing out of air in exasperation from Alex McLeish tells you that.
Well, just obviously, I thought they might get the win they needed against West Brom because it was a local derby, and they drew that one. This going into this one there, where you know Spurs needed to win. Obviously, Newcastle
and Spurs to capitalise on Arsenal drawing yesterday.
Yeah, and Newcastle not winning as well. You'd think.
Mark, Spurs didn't need to win because Arsenal drew today or yesterday. So now Spurs have got 4th place in their control. If they win their last game of the season against Fulham, They finished fourth, and that's why Harry Redknapp's laughing.
But even third, though, is still up for grabs. And you can't guarantee that Chelsea are not going to win the Champions League final, guys.
Sure.
Exactly. So you're not looking for top four.
That's very
You're
true.
looking to overtake, and that's why I thought it was crucial for Harry today to get the win that he needed because of Newcastle's result.
As we head into that final day next week, is that third space, that third spot is very much alive, isn't it? You know, if somebody trips up on the final day...
Yesterday, you're thinking 3-3 Arsenal. I mean, they were 2-1 down, got themselves back to 2-2, winning 3-2, drew 3-3, and then, you know, Arsene Wenger's obviously fuming at that. Last home game of the season, and then what happens? All the results go their way today.
Incredible. OK. We shouldn't be surprised, though, should we? The way the swings and roundabouts go, it's going to go right down to the very last minute. What are you giggling at, Garth?
I'm just saying that I'm thinking Spurs and Bayern fans have been family for years. They'll be all right.
That's the Spurs that you said were going to win the league.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. OK, I was going to bring that up later, but since you did. Now, let's bring you the full classified results in the Premier League today. It was Aston Villa 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1, Bolton Wanderers 2, West Brom 2, Fulham 2, Sunderland 1. Manchester United Swansea is the 4 o'clock kickoff. Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 2, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Stoke City 0, Wolves 0, Everton 0. And the Clydesdale Bank Scottish Premier League, Dundee United 1, Celtic 0. Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0 is still being played. So the Barclays Premier League, Manchester City now 3 points clear of United. If the reigning champions lose against Swansea this afternoon, they would all but concede the title to their noisy neighbours. Spurs and Newcastle stay in 4th and 5th, respectively. At the bottom of the table, QPR move above Wigan with that last gasp win against Stoke. Blackburn Rovers and Wigan meet tomorrow. Huge game for both Lancashire clubs. Villa looking safe, though it's not guaranteed. And if we have a little look at the SPL, Dundee United's victory over the champion Celtic means they're assured of finishing in 4th place. Hearts will move up to 5th if they hang on to their lead against St Johnstone this afternoon. OK, let's get the headlines for you then from the Premier League today. Newcastle, QPR 1, Stoke 0. Rangers were desperate for victory and they got it right at the death with a critical winner from Djibril Cissé. Bolton Wanderers 2, West Brom 2. Wanderers look to have 3 crucial points in the bag, but James Morrison's late leveller means the dreaded drop still looms for Owen Coyle's men. Aston Villa 1, Tottenham 1. Harry Spurs may be edging closer to that Champions League spot after Adebayor's equalised from the spot, but it's all going down to the final day. An important point for Villa. Mathematically not, but you'd say safe in the Premier League for another season. Fulham 2, Sunderland 1. Mid-table musings in the West London Sun. Dembele's deflected goal proved the winner, but the Black Cats played their part. And Wolves, Everton, a goalless draw. The Toffees had a goal disallowed, and that was pretty much the best of it at Molineux. And Match of the Day tonight is on BBC One at 10:25 with Gary, Alan and Lee. That's going to be a good one tonight. Let's speak to Steve Wilson. He's at the Reebok Stadium. Steve, what a dramatic finish to your game there. And Owen Coyle must just have his hands in his head.
Absolutely agonising for him, I would imagine, Gabby. I mean, Bolton were terrific today in what was a very, very good game. They led 2-0. with just 15 minutes to go. At that point, you're thinking, you know, Bolton aren't quite safe, but they've taken an enormous stride to being safe. They led through a Petrov penalty in the first half, and then an own goal from Billy Jones put them 2-0 up, which was so fortunate, the nature of the own goal, that you just thought, well, their luck is in. But I think crucially, Chris Brunt pulled one back almost immediately after that own goal, and from then West Brom just threw everything at Bolton. They played for their manager today, and great support for the team and the manager as well, from 4,500 travelling Baggies fans. But as it went through that agonising last few minutes, Bolton got deeper and deeper and deeper, and West Brom were committing more and more people forward. And can you believe it, 90th minute, Gabby, James Morrison hammered into the roof of the Bolton net, and just absolutely deflating for Bolton, because they are now in a position that they are going to have to win at Stoke on the last day if they're going to stay up. Now, they beat Stoke 5-0 here earlier this season. They also lost to Stoke 5-0 in the FA Cup last season. So not too many omens to be drawn from that, but it's going to be an extraordinary difficult fixture for them at the Britannia Stadium next Sunday, where 12 months ago Wigan went on the last day having to win, and they did.
Steve, thank you for that. A nice little stat for us to muse over. You know, they go there, they win. They could be safe, but you know they could have been in a much stronger position going into that game.
You know, I look at the Premier League, and there's no team rollover. You've got to say West Brom today and Stoke haven't really got anything to play for. I know there's like £1 million for every position, but you know they're safe. You know, and it's come to the end of the season, a couple of games, and you might forgive the players just sort of saying, well, you know, we'll just go out and have a play. They have a go. They have a go. And West Brom are throwing everything at it to get back in the game, and it just doesn't happen where teams just go somewhere and roll over. But I think Tony Pulis prides himself on all the top teams went there and nobody won at the Britannia this year, and you want to go out on a high, so...
I have to say, I can't help feeling from the performance of West Brom today, what I saw, that they were playing for the New England manager. It has an impact. It has an impact in that dressing room. I don't care who you are, because if you're English, you're thinking, I just might convince him that he's worth investing in.
Well, they've all spoken so highly of him this week as well, haven't they? And genuinely sad that he's leaving them.
Absolutely. So. It was a hell of a second-half performance, as Mark said.
OK, let's go to Motti. He's at Loftus Road. Dramatic scenes there, Motti. Crowd on the pitch. They think they're safe. Cisse, the hero. 1 week he's the villain. Today, very much Mark Hughes' hero.
Well, as I speak to you now, Gabby, the fans are still in the ground waiting for the QPR players to come out and do a lap of honour, which, of course, is traditional at the end of the season when you've played your last home game. But my goodness me, how this ground erupted in the 89th minute. I mean, the Bolton match turned round late on, so did this one. Stoke was so obstinate, Sorensen played well in goal, Rangers couldn't break through. And then in the 89th minute, a corner headed on by Anton Ferdinand, and Djibril Cisse, who, as you say, is the hero 1 minute and the red card man the next. Well, today he's become a hero because he slotted that ball in, and suddenly the whole place erupted. Now, we don't know mathematically how important that goal is yet going to prove to be. It's not conclusive. But I tell you what, 3 or 4 minutes earlier, when Bolton were beating West Brom and it was 0-0 here, you wouldn't have given Rangers much of a price. But now you've got to. They didn't play particularly well today. Lots of commitment. Didn't create many chances. If you hear a big roar go up, it'll mean that the players have come out the tunnel, by the way. Cisse has, in fact, I think you'll find, come out the tunnel. Yes, he has. There's the man that got the goal that has turned, maybe, Queen's Park Rangers' future round. It certainly caused a massive explosion of sound here in West London. The players are walking slowly round now, down beneath me, and Mark Hughes is out as well. There's an air of celebration here, and of course you can understand why, but don't forget, QPR have to go to Manchester City next Sunday.
They're in it, though. They're in it,
their last game, Gabby.
Yeah, they're still in it. They're still in that race for survival.
Yes, they're in the race, Gabby. Yes, definitely.
Motti, thank you. And if any proof were needed that we're having a very cold May, Motti sheepskin still out, penultimate weekend of the season. May. Have you seen that before? Is that historical? I think it could be. He's gone now. He's gone to warm up.
You've got to say that, you know, next week, I mean, Mark, like you say, you've got to be in it. And QPR could lose and Bolton could lose.
Yes.
And that's it, you know. So you're not hoping that what you want to do.
Should just say that all fans today are staying out because it's the final home games for those.
Correct.
So it's not necessarily that the fans are prematurely celebrating. It's to thank the players for the end of the season.
Traditional, yeah.
I'm just having a cursory glance at the Man United Swansea game, and United are playing a very, very high line, and they're trying to pen Swansea in. They're not giving them any chance to dwell on the ball and play their passing game. They're wiring into tackles, Manchester United, and if anybody's got any illusion that United think this is over, that anybody thinks that United think it's over, they can forget it. They're going for these 3 points because they think right to the wire, they believe that QPR are capable, on a bad day for Man City, of perhaps getting a point. It might only need a point for them to survive.
Well, they came over a huge test today, Man City, of course, and Yaya Toure with the 2 goals for them at St James's Park. He's talking to Jonathan Pearce.
What do you say about a manager who makes such an important substitution? Nigel de Jong comes on, you're pushed further forward and get the goals.
Yeah, I think it was one important things in this game, because, play at away against Newcastle. Newcastle is very tough, and recently, Newcastle have been in form, they win a Chelsea and they win some of important game, and they want to finish it fourth, but we want to go through and win this Premier League. But we know it's gonna be tough, and then I think I get a lot of lucky, because I've been a couple of years now. I play with my teammate. They know me very well. They know how to give the ball, and I think it's a fantastic feeling today. It's the first time I scored 2 goals in my career, and 2 important goals for my teammate. And I think we will help our team to go through and to win this cup.
What a day to do that, hey? Before the match today at St James's Park, and that man would want me to call it that, Sir Bobby Robson's statue was unveiled, a 9.5-foot bronze created by the sculptor Tom Malley. His family were there, the players, Alan Pardew as well. There's Elsie, his wife, receiving some flowers from Alan Pardew ahead of the game. Of course, Sir Bobby, an icon in the North East. The former England manager took the Magpies into the Champions League in his 5-year spell. Indeed, the last time they played in the Champions League. And I do believe that the highest position that they had under him was 4th, and they haven't been as high since. So this year, Alan Pardew could complete a very successful season indeed at Newcastle United. OK, an interesting insight into one of sport's big names. Barry Hearn is coming up later on tonight on BBC Two. It's at 6:10. Good watch for you, that. Let's just talk a little bit about Newcastle United.
Torre said, I've never scored 2 goals in the game in my life. And he's thinking he must have scored 2 goals. I mean, Garth said he's just such an impressive player to me. He's been key, him and Silva in central midfield. I think that little combination with de Jong coming on just freed him up. It was a huge move from Mancini, and it paid off.
Sadly for him, he's played for Barcelona as a holding midfield player. He would have played holding today if de Jong hadn't been and come on and set him free.
Just get some reaction from Loftus Road. QPR captain Joey Barton is talking to Phil Wye.
Joey, what a day that was.
Yeah, to put it mildly, full range of emotions there. I mean, Stoke, fair play to them. People thought maybe they'd play, a little bit of a dead rubber kind of game. They didn't have, for what it seemed, not much to play for, with them being in mid-table. I think it's about the 48th to 50th game of the season for them. So, fair play to them. They made it very competitive, and I think, that's a credit to the standard of this league.
Did you have to win this game? I mean, and did you think the goal wasn't going to come?
Obviously, the longer the game goes on, and knowing how well organised Stoke are as a unit, it was going to be difficult. But that's what Jib does. Throughout his career, he's scored massive goals, and I think in the context of what this football club's trying to achieve in the short, medium, and long term, I think that goal's as big as it'll be.
Huge goal it could be for QPR, and the mess they were in 6-7 weeks ago, and the results they've strung together at home, it could be
it's their home form that's going to give them a chance.
If you had to put your money on it today, who's going down?
I don't gamble.
I'll tell you now, I think it's the bottom 3 as they stand: Wolves, Blackburn and Bolton.
We shall see next weekend. Don't forget, you can stay across the Manchester United-Swansea game on 5 Live and on the BBC website with highlights on Match of the Day later. That's it from all of us. We'll be back next Sunday at 2:30 to see whether these two are right about anything on the Red Button and the HD channel, with all the drama of the final afternoon in the Premier League. Don't miss it. See you then.